I want to talk to you today about something that could transform your life completely, the extraordinary power that comes when you focus on yourself and embrace the strength of silence. In a world constantly demanding your attention and response, true power lies in knowing when to stay silent and when to turn your focus inward. The world we live in is filled with noise. Social media floods your mind with what others are doing. Everyone has opinions about how you should live, what success looks like, and who you should become. But here's a truth that might change everything: the moment you start depending on outside approval, you give away your power. You become a prisoner to their opinions. And that's a dangerous way to live, because the same people clapping for you today might ignore you tomorrow. And if your confidence is built on their applause, what happens when the clapping stops? So many fall into this trap. You work hard, make progress, but spend time looking around wondering if anyone notices. You explain decisions to people who never asked. And when criticism comes, you feel the need to defend yourself, to justify your choices, to prove your worth. This way of living will drain you. It will rob you of your peace and joy. It will keep you from becoming who you were created to be. Think about it. How many hours have you wasted worrying about what others think of you? How much energy have you spent explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you? We've allowed the voices of others to drown out the voice that matters most. The Bible reminds us in Lamentations 3 verse 26, "It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord." There is value in stillness and in silence. We don't need to respond to every voice demanding our attention. Look at Jesus, the perfect example of knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. He was criticized, mocked, and doubted. Yet he didn't waste time defending himself to those who would never believe him anyway. He stayed focused and silent when necessary, understanding his purpose wasn't to win arguments but to fulfill his mission. When we stop listening to the noise of the world, we gain clarity. We stop second-guessing ourselves. We stop feeling the need to explain every decision. We focus on what truly matters: our purpose, our faith, our growth. There is freedom in silence. When you stop trying to respond to every critic, when you stop chasing approval, you'll experience peace like never before. No matter what you do, there will always be someone who doesn't understand you, doesn't support you, or doesn't believe in you. And that's okay. Your purpose isn't to convince people of your worth. Your purpose is to walk in your calling. There's a powerful story about Nehemiah. While rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, his enemies tried to distract him. They called out, trying to get him to come down and argue. But Nehemiah responded, "I am doing a great work and I cannot come down." That needs to be your mindset. You're doing a great work in your life. You're growing, changing, stepping into purpose. Don't come down to argue with people who don't matter. Stay focused. Stay silent. Let your life be the proof. Focusing on your own growth is one of the most important things you can do. Too many people spend time looking at what others are doing instead of working on themselves. They compare their journey with those around them. But comparison is a distraction. It steals your joy, wastes your time, and keeps you from becoming who you're called to be. God has a unique plan for your life. He didn't create you to follow someone else's path. Galatians 6 verse 4 says, "Let each one examine his own work, and then he will have reason for boasting in himself alone and not in someone else." Focus on what God is doing in your life. Your journey is different from anyone else's. One of the biggest traps in life is constantly measuring yourself against others. You see someone more successful and feel like you're falling behind. You see someone who seems to have it all together and begin to doubt yourself. But everyone has their own struggles and challenges. Just because someone else is ahead doesn't mean you're behind. Just because someone's life looks perfect doesn't mean they don't have battles you can't see. The only person you should compete with is who you were yesterday. Are you growing? Are you becoming wiser and stronger? These are the things that matter. Look at David. When he was a shepherd boy, his brothers were fighting in the army. They had experience, training, and approval. But while they focused on status, David focused on growth. He spent time developing his skills and preparing. He didn't compare himself to his brothers. When the time came, he was ready to defeat Goliath. That's what happens when you focus on yourself. God prepares you in ways others can't see. You may not be where you want to be yet, but if you keep growing and trusting, your time will come. Distractions are one of the enemy's greatest weapons against your purpose. When you decide to grow, distractions will come: negativity, drama, opinions of others, self-doubt. If you allow these to take your focus, you'll never reach your destiny. The enemy doesn't have to destroy you, he just has to distract you. If he can waste your time with meaningless arguments or fill your mind with worry about what others think, he's already won. You must intentionally ignore things that don't matter. Proverbs 4 verses 25 to 27 says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead, fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet and be steadfast in all your ways." Like Nehemiah, your attitude must be, "I am doing a great work and I cannot come down." You're growing and stepping into purpose. You don't have time for distractions, negative people, or useless drama. You cannot come down. Some people will try to pull you into their problems or battles that don't belong to you. But you don't need to fight every battle or respond to every insult. Your time and energy are too valuable. There are times when the best thing you can do is stay silent and let God fight your battles. Not every battle is yours to fight. Exodus 14 verse 14 says, "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." Our human nature wants to argue and prove people wrong. But silence is often more powerful than words. When you stay quiet and trust God, He moves in ways you never could. Jesus demonstrated this perfectly. When falsely accused and brought before Pilate, He remained silent. Matthew 27 verse 14 says, "But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor." He could have defended himself but chose to remain quiet because his silence was part of God's plan. Some of you are fighting battles you don't need to fight. You're trying to convince people who will never believe in you. But God is saying, "Be still. Let me handle this." When you stay silent and let God fight for you, He will vindicate you. Your life, growth, and success will be the proof that God is with you. When you focus on your purpose, critics become less significant. Your purpose is far greater than opinions or criticism. Life is full of people who will try to distract or discourage you. They'll mock your dreams, question your decisions, and try to convince you to give up. But if you allow their words to define you, you'll never reach your destiny. Jesus faced relentless criticism from religious leaders, crowds, even His own disciples. They didn't understand His mission and doubted His authority. Yet He remained focused and never allowed opinions to derail His purpose. Because He stayed focused, He fulfilled His mission and changed the world forever. When you keep your eyes on your purpose, opinions fade. You stop needing validation from people who will never see your true worth. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your calling. There's something incredibly freeing about not having to explain yourself. When you stop justifying every decision, you free yourself from the opinions of the world. God's approval is the only one that matters. There's peace in staying focused on your purpose without letting distractions get in the way. Romans 8 verse 28 reminds us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." When you focus on that truth, distractions lose power, and silence becomes an act of faith. You stop worrying about what others think and stop feeling the need to explain yourself. I know it's not easy. The pull to explain yourself, defend yourself, seek validation is strong. The fear of being misunderstood, criticized, or rejected can be overwhelming. But the peace from letting go of that need is worth more than any approval. It doesn't happen overnight. It requires a daily decision to focus on what matters and let go of what doesn't. It requires courage to stay silent when everything within you wants to speak. Let me tell you about a young woman who came to me once, burdened by the weight of others' expectations. She was talented, gifted, called by God to do something extraordinary. But she was paralyzed by the fear of what others would think if she stepped out in faith. She spent her days seeking approval, explaining her decisions, defending her actions, and she was exhausted. Then one day, she made a decision. She decided that she would no longer live for the applause of others. She would focus on her purpose and let God handle the rest. It wasn't easy. There were days when the old habits tried to creep back in. There were moments when the criticism stung and the rejection hurt. But she stayed the course. She kept her eyes on her purpose. She embraced the power of silence. And slowly, things began to change. The people who had criticized her either changed their minds or faded into the background. The peace she had been searching for began to fill her life. And most importantly, she began to move forward in her calling with a confidence she had never known before. That same transformation is available to you today. If you will choose to focus on yourself in the right way, to grow, to develop, to become everything God has called you to be, then I promise you, your life will never be the same. So today, I challenge you, stop listening to the noise. Start listening to God. Focus on the path He has set before you. Guard your energy like your life depends on it. Be intentional. Be selective. Be focused. Stay consistent, even when no one seems to care or see you. The process will always test you before it rewards you. It will push you when it would be easier to quit. If you stay consistent through the hard days, success is inevitable. At the end of the day, your journey is yours alone. The distractions, opinions, comparisons, none truly matter. What matters is your focus, discipline, and ability to move forward even when no one understands. Stop looking around. Stop explaining yourself. Stop waiting for approval. Focus on yourself. Move in silence. Because when you do, your growth will be undeniable, and one day, the world won't be able to ignore the person you become.